Hello, my Zentangle friends. This is Barbara Langston, CZT, Certified Zentangle Teacher, and I hope you're having a great day. I'm grateful to be back to creating another video. I've been sick for a few days and feeling better now, and happy to share something new with you that I want to try. Recently on the Certified Zentangle Teacher blog, on Facebook, there were some comments about the beautiful, wonderful Zentangle inspired art that's also known with acronym ZIA, so Zentangle inspired art. There are some fantastic teachers out there that I admire greatly, but a lot of people, especially if you're a beginner, you can be very much intimidated by that art. And so what I want to do is propose a possible fun thing, and I want to have your comments about what you think. But before I do that, I just want to say again, I'm so grateful to be here and grateful to be going back to the basics of the Zentangle method. And we start with gratitude and appreciation, corner dots on most tiles, a border, not necessarily on all tiles, the string, the tangle, shade, initial and sign, and then appreciate again. And I think it's when we get to the end that some of us are not appreciating what we've done because we've jumped into something that is maybe over our heads. I don't know, but I hope to share something with you that I came up with, and I hope that you enjoy it. Before I do that, someone mentioned to me under the comments for the two videos that I did. The first one showed this star string, and I had someone who asked me if I would please show how I did this tile. I have added a post to my ko.fi, that's ko-fi.com site, where I show exactly what I did. Well, I show the patterns that I did. So I did the string, and then I put a circle here and a circle here with an aura. And then inside, this is just a flux flower. Zoom in. Okay, so this is a flower with 8 petals done from flux with white dots around it. And then I had an aura around that. This is actually the pattern well, and you can see it a little bit better on this one because these are the same patterns that I have. So this is well, that's the same thing you have here. And then this is the pattern hybrid. And then this is my version of henna drum. So that's really all that I did to create this pattern, or this Zendala. It's a tan tile, and I used, I'm not sure which color of the Ennies Magicals I used, but that's how I colored this tile. So I will put a link to that in the description below and show you how I did that, which patterns. Okay, what I want to show you today is I want to go back, like I said, to some of the basics of Zentangle. And so I looked through some of my original posts or photos that I had posted on Instagram, I believe. And one of the things that I found was this mosaic. And I don't know if there's a person who first created this, but it's just a very easy string. Okay, like so. And then you just put the patterns that you want in there. Now, I haven't done this one yet, but I wanted to be able to show you, give you an idea of what it's going to look like. Okay, I can zoom in a little bit more here. And this is actually the first one that I did, and those patterns are Barquillos by Maria Tovar. There's Hollis, but this is Henna drone. I have Mooka in that one, a little bit of Springkle and Crescent Moon, and also Flux. I think I've lost. Okay, there we go. Flux by Zentangle. And after I did this first tile, I decided I wanted to make it more simple than this. So what I plan to do is show you two different patterns using this string. And this string happens to be a Z. Okay, so on this one real quick, it is weighted Printemps right here and Shattuck on this one. And this is the original version of Shattuck, and it is just done with straight lines. And on this one, I did Bales and a weighted version of Msst, M-S-S-T, that Maria did for Project Pack 10 on the first video. And I happened to find that today, so I wanted to go ahead and try that. So let's put these aside for now, and let me show you how to do this. You can do it with a Marcus operandus if you had it. What I did was just center it and do a mark. I'll show you here. So this is a Zentangle tile. So I centered it and did a mark and went to each side and added a mark. Okay, so I have that centered. The other thing that you can do is just actually use a ruler. And we're working with a 3.5 inch tile. Okay, so I found the center. Sorry. Okay, and made that mark. And then I did that on each side of this tile. Once you have that first tile done, you can just use that one to mark your other tiles. Now this one is a tile that I cut, and what I use is either Fabriano Tiepolo or Stonehenge paper. I used to buy my own from Dick Blick, but I've stopped doing that because I found that I could get it locally at my art store. Use watercolor paper, use mixed media, use cardstock, use whatever you have on hand. Whenever I cut just a straight tile like this, I have a corner cutter that I got from probably Hobby Lobby. So I just cut the corners. So there's the little stuff that comes off. Okay, so then I would take one of these that I've already marked and use my pencil to do another mark on each side. And then I could just kind of save one of these tiles as a template, or you can use one that you've already drawn on, excuse me, as a template. All right, so now I have a couple of them that are almost ready. This is a lid that goes on a wide mouth canning jar. And I'm just going to put that on here. Kind of having a look around my camera. Hopefully that's right. And then I'm just going to take my pencil and lightly make a line that connects those two. You could freehand it, but I like to use this. You could find a coaster, anything that you like to match those up. Now I didn't get that perfect, but it's okay. It's going to work out fine. The next thing that I'm going to do is to make this curve through here that makes our Z. And I could do it from either side. It's not going to matter. Okay. So I'm just going to come out a little bit, round it some, come across, round it a little bit more. And they don't have to match exactly. But now I have two tiles that I can put together like this. And then whatever you put in the center is going to be totally up to you. My idea is to teach you two patterns, and then you can do those however you would like in these tiles. And then when you start putting them together, you come up with just some gorgeous mosaics. You can make it as fancy as you like. You could decide that you don't want to use this string, you want to use something different. You don't have to put any string or line, any divider in here at all. You could just put one pattern across here, or like I did on that first one that I showed you. Find that. You could put as many patterns in there as you like. I started going kind of crazy with it. Kind of got excited. And then I decided, well, to teach this in a class, to keep it short, but be able to show you some nice patterns, that I would just try it like this. So here we go. What I've done is, because I do these 2x2s that I use in my videos, and I use these for reference, I just pulled out a few that I like, and I thought, well, maybe I could use one or two of these. You might pick from yours the kind of tiles that, or patterns, I'm sorry, that you enjoy, and then put them on your tile. So I'm just going to use black pen and my graphite pencil, a blending stump. Use whatever you might like. I might use an eraser. This is a kneaded eraser. I think I'll start with Ennies. That's one of my favorite patterns. And I'm going to go ahead on this tile and go over the string. You know, when I started Zentangle, I followed the book One Zentangle a Day. And someone recently on my comments on one of the videos said that she was new and struggling. And I recommended to her that she read the Zentangle primer. And I think that for me probably would have been an even better start, although that One Zentangle a Day was good. It was great. But the Zentangle primer teaches you the basics of what Zentangle teacher would learn, you know, and it's great. It's just a great way to start. And remembering the steps for Zentangle as far as our appreciation. We didn't put the corner dots or the border, but we did add a string, and we started out with appreciation. So now we're going to add our tangle. Okay, and for droop, let's just, I've never tried that in here, so this is going to be interesting. It's going to make a curve that comes this way. Then I'm going to divide that in half. And then divide it again. And this is going to be interesting. Let's just do it. Let's bring a line down here through here. Okay, so we have put these center lines. And now we're going to go inside those center lines and add an aura inside of each. And remembering to relax, breathe, and draw one line at a time. We're not worrying about the outcome. Excuse me. For a lot of the classes that we see, and I'm not meaning to be disrespectful of those classes. I've taken many of them and I still love them. But if you're new to Zentangle, it can be a little bit overwhelming thinking that you need to make your tile look exactly like the teacher's tile, and you don't. You want this to be your own. And when you're not worrying about the outcome and you're only drawing one line at a time, it's just so much more relaxing. Okay, again, I'm putting an inner aura on each of these. The other thing that's very intimidating to me is adding color. I used to love, as a child, using map colors, but I just find when I'm trying to add color to my tile, I just worry too much. And going back to the classic Zentangle tiles that I originally learned, most of the lessons that I watched were just the white 3.5-inch tile and black pin. And most of my first tiles were just like that. And I found it very relaxing, very enjoyable. And then someone told me about Facebook groups and Instagram. And it was great at first. But when I started noticing how great some of these other Zentangle inspired art posts were, I was very intimidated. So this is what I'm trying to do, is to go back to the basics. Okay, so we've done this inside part, the aura. Now we're going to make little auras inside. And so just a curve. And I'm going to do each of these. They don't have to be the exact same length, but I'm trying to get them at about the same spot in each of these. So it almost looks like a flower inside. Okay. And these aren't going to meet up exact, but it doesn't matter. Okay. Now I'm going to darken this. make it a little bit heavier. This one to me is another easy pattern that once you do it a couple of times, it's easy to remember. Once you look at your little card like this, it's easy to remember without having to go look at the step outs. But for each of these patterns that I'm going to use, there are step outs at tanglepatterns.com. Okay, so now we're just going to put some lines out from the center to this heavy line that we just added. Add as many as you can fit. I'm not worried about making a perfect straight line. Okay, so there's our beginning. It's bigger than this one, but it's okay. We're going to put another line here, an aura all the way around. Okay, so we're basically starting this all over again. So this would have been the center. So we're going to put another line. This one's going to be heavier. It's just another aura. And see, these are not meeting up right. It doesn't matter. Go ahead and bring this one up a little bit and make it a little bit heavier. Many times you'll think during your drawing that you've made a mistake. We say many times in Zentangle, there are no mistakes, only opportunities. And if this doesn't meet up, I could try to fix it, but it's just, this opportunity is to accept it for the way that it is. Okay, so just like we did here, we're going to have some lines coming out. I like to start in the center and then just bring my lines out. And I'm going a little bit fast because this is repetitive, but generally I'll go slow so that I can enjoy what I'm doing. And I hope that's what you get from Zentangle, the chance to take a breath, let it out, enjoy it. You could, at this point, put other patterns out here. We could leave it just like this. And I think I will. I'm going to put just one more aura around the outside. All right, there you go. You could continue going down on these until it gets to the border, or just leave it like that. Okay. The other one, I think I mentioned doing Ennies. Okay. So that's another Zentangle pattern. And that one starts by putting what looks like little flux, but we're not going to put anything in the center. So we're just going to go around this border. And add these little teardrops. I'm going to turn, add another one over here. I will list all of these patterns in the description. Okay, again, just take your time, enjoy one stroke at a time. This is not a contest. We're not getting graded. It's no competition. If you want to compete with somebody, compete with yourself. Look at your old tiles and give yourself a pat on the back for how they look after you've been practicing. I've been doing this for over 4 years. So my tiles did not look good in the beginning. And again, I was a little bit intimidated, but I persevered. I kept going. Okay. The next thing we're going to do is put an aura around these. And turn your tile. Keep your hand relaxed. Remember to breathe. Relax your shoulders. When I tell you these things, it's because I'm reminding myself of the same thing. I guess you can see I got kind of excited about sharing this basic method again, and I hope it's helpful to you wherever you are on your journey with Zentangle. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is simply put some orbs in the center. You could call that tipple, but it's just orbs. And we don't have to do all of them the same size. And I just started randomly. And then where you have these little spaces, you can fill that in. Don't worry about your orbs being perfect. We're not looking for perfect circles. And vary your sizes. Turn your tile to keep your hand comfortable. I think with Zentangle, it's a little bit easier to understand the method when you actually sat in a class with a certified Zentangle teacher. But because of COVID, that has changed for most of us. I'm a senior, almost 68, and I'm fearful of being out in large groups because of COVID. So that's why I started doing the classes online, and I hope that I'm able to keep doing this. I really appreciate the wonderful comments that I get on my YouTube channel and the support that I get at my coffee.com site. I appreciate the times when someone has a question and they go ahead and ask me in the comments. I do try to answer all of my comments. If you have suggestions or something that you're struggling with, you can leave a comment, and you can also contact me directly at my notperfectzen@gmail.com email address. Happy to help you however I can. I'm very grateful for all the Zentangle teachers that I have been associated with who have helped me. Okay, see, these are not perfect orbs. That's not what we're going for. I'm grateful for so many teachers who do teach how to do the Zentangle inspired art. I have to admit, I don't feel good enough to do that, but I do feel good enough to teach the basic Zentangle method, like what I'm teaching you today. Okay. It's more interesting to your eye if these are not necessarily exactly the same size. So it's good to just go ahead and make different sizes in here. And as you can see, I went over that one. It's okay. I can just kind of fill it in and round those corners, or just leave it. Many times you'll say that you've made a mistake, and when you try to go back and find that mistake later, you can't remember what it was. And I always do better with my tiles when I put them down and come back later and look at them. Hold them at a distance. Many times I've looked at something that I've saved and I have to question whether or not that was my tile or not. That's why we put our chop, our initials, so that when you go back, you can go, oh, wow, hey, I did that. I did okay. And I really have enjoyed making mosaics with my tiles, where you do something like this with the same pattern and then put them together. I have a couple of 12 by 12 mosaics on my wall that were done just like that. It's a lot of fun. Okay. So I'm just looking for a few little spaces that I might need to do. I'm going to go ahead and put just a little bit of hatching on each of these, just to give them a little bit of drama. Once you learn this, feel free to change it up however you want to. And again, don't worry about the ending. Just relax and enjoy the process. All right, here we go. On to shading. All right. For Drupe, I think I'm going to shade just on the inside of each of these. So where we put that first line, I generally say to point your pencil toward the line you're shading. But you can also come on this side. Okay, now I'm going to get my blending stump. This one has a nice sharp point to it. It's not new, but I cleaned it on a emery board, and then I used a paper clip to push it back out. Okay, I think I'm going to go ahead and put some shading around the outside of this. Just play with it. And all I do is I look at it and I go, well, what if I put a little bit of shading here? Go for it. If you don't like it, you can lighten it up or take it back off. I don't mind using an eraser if it makes me like it better. Okay, so there we have shaded Drupe. For Ennies, I'm going to put just a little bit of shading at the tip of each of these little teardrops. And then inside of this, where we have this border, I'm going to put shading on the inside. And this is the way the step out shows it. And when you get this shaded, it really gives some depth. Like this. This might be a little pool, and these are pebbles at the bottom. I'm thinking I might like to do several of these and put them in a playlist. So I'm really excited about just doing some simple videos. But with these simple tiles, we can put together a really pretty mosaic. And I think my grandkids would even enjoy flipping these tiles around to see what kind of things they can put together without worrying about one has to go in one place or another. Okay, just softening this graphite a little bit inside each one of these. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is put graphite next to this outer edge. And I'm going to do this same thing on all of my tiles. They'll all have this in the center. And then I'm going to soften it again. I don't want this to look like there's a line. I want it to be kind of like a gradient as it comes out a little bit softer. Okay, I'm going to flip it and do the same thing on this side. I'm anxious to put all four of these together and see how they look. I'm not going to put my chop on here. I'll sign the backs, but I'm not going to do the chop because I want this to be empty. You can see on these other ones, this center part is shaded. This one is not. Oops, sorry. This one I don't have that Z line shaded. And this one is partly shaded or not. So leave it up to you, but I think I'm going to go ahead and add some shading on this side of this one. And then soften it. I'm not going to pull it down a lot, but I'm going to soften it. All right, there we go. You can see the mess on my desk. All right, this was the first one that I did. And this one is just weighted Printemps. And that's fun to do. Sorry, let me move my phone just a little bit so you can see that. All right. And like I said, I've seen these where occasionally you could have fescue or something come into the centers. You can leave them empty. You could do just the opposite and fill these in, the circle parts, and leave the center empty. Lots of things that you could do with this. All right, we're done. So I hope you enjoyed this. I just got really excited about doing something simple but fun, but you could also come up with something that if you added, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more tiles, then you have something that you could easily put into a 12 by 12 frame, and it's so beautiful. All right, I appreciate my tile. I appreciate the time that I've spent with you today. Today is 04/20/22. And there's my weird signature because I'm not going to put my chalk on the front. Okay, so we could flip these around and see how they look this way. Or we could bring them to the center this way. And then you have a totally different look. Okay, I hope you enjoyed that. I had fun, and I'm looking forward to finding more patterns to show you here. Most of these were Zentangle original patterns, but not necessarily have to stick to that for these tiles that I want to do. And if you have something that a pattern that you want me to show on here, then let me know. All right, thanks again. I appreciate your comments. I appreciate your support, and I hope that I see you next time. Hit the like button, subscribe, and have a great week. Thanks. Bye.